welcome back to Desertification on Discs. I'm Dan, and it's volume 7. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Dave Carlos. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hi, I'm really good, thank you.
So,
It's a nice sunny day here in London.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So great to meet you, Dave. Great to see you. And I guess just to kick things off, you're the kind of head honcho over at JustOne. Do you want to tell us a bit about JustOne and what you do as a business?
Yeah, so we are a sustainability consultancy. We really believe that just one person, one business can make a world of difference. And we provide solutions to businesses to do just that. We were really founded on the principle of that we wanted to bring humanity back to business, really bring, well, kind of the language that we need to change people's hearts and minds into business. We wanted to put people first because we know when we put people first, we help them as individuals in a very kind of diverse way, but we also make decisions that help the environment and society that they live in. So that's our basic principle. Yeah.
Excellent. So purpose is obviously very big, isn't it, at the moment for businesses? And how are you finding that? Are you finding that that's created an increased demand on you and you guys' time?
Yes, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Being busy, especially in lockdown, is really good. Yeah, we saw 2020 to have like a big upturn for anything sustainability wise. I think a lot of companies saw sustainability as a not just a tick box exercise, but as a future proofing exercise. And we actually did some research and noted that companies that had sustainability and purpose at their core really were able to adapt and change what they did, and even just change their language and how they talk to people and their customers on social media, in person and whatnot. And then they were able to adapt their products and services too. So yeah, I think purpose and sustainability are just, it's a given for business now if they want to do well and outperform competitors too.
Absolutely. And I guess the key is how genuine is that stated purpose as well, right? Because there's a lot of getting more and more awareness around greenwashing and people looking at that. So how can you tell greenwash from or whether it's genuine or not? Is there a way to do that, do you think?
Well, I always find it comes across when I have conversations with people in an organization, especially the leadership team, of how they really talk about why they exist as a company. We help clients do purpose workshops to really understand what is their purpose and how it's not just putting the statement on their website, but they have to live and breathe it. So companies that just have that statement on their website or wherever they need it in their marketing materials, I find when you really start to have those conversations, you can see where it is just an exercise for them. But companies who really get it, you can tell they change their business models, the way that they talk, the way that they are, their ways of being change.
Do you think that's what's going to happen to every business? They're going to just reach this stage of kind of redefinition now that companies are in, where I guess once upon a time, I might have just set up my business to make money and to be more profitable, or because I didn't enjoy my old job as much, not necessarily because I thought about my macro impact on the planet. So asking someone to kind of recalibrate that, and maybe a business that's been around for 100 years, it's quite an interesting challenge, isn't it, to then articulate what you've been doing for so long with that purpose.
Yes, I mean, if you've seen the TED Talk with Simon Sinek's the Golden Circle one, he says to start with why. A lot of companies know what they sell, few more know how they do it or how to even talk about how they do it. But few companies know why they do it. And it's really, I love doing the purpose workshops with our clients because we really unearth some deep emotions and they understand their place in the world. Like, for example, we worked with a cleaning company recently, and on the surface it's like, well, they clean buildings and assets. When we really got into it, we realized, they're protecting people, especially now with COVID, right? So it's not just protecting people in terms of their health and making sure things are clean, but they also do it in their operations. Cleaners are paid quite low, So they're paying a living wage and making sure that there's a lot of benefits that those cleaners get. So they say that their purpose was proudly protecting people, and that just makes sense. And all of a sudden, everyone in the organization gets it, and the business will make decisions, but also the cleaners will make decisions. They know that they have to do a good job because they are protecting people, and
Mm.
they want to do it with pride. So that's just an example, but yeah, it really resonates throughout a whole business and the rest of the stakeholders. Yeah.
Absolutely. We went through that exercise a bit, well, over the summer when we moved from being Ditto and Ditto sustainability to being Rio, and getting the kind of web presence right for Rio. And I think that it's always been, from our perspective, a business that is about, I wouldn't do this career if it wasn't about purpose. I would have continued my law degree and become a lawyer, like, a regular lawyer. But I think when we came to kind of just articulating it, we knew we wanted to be doing good, but
Mhm.
to kind of articulate it without sounding like Michael Jackson, and that song can be a little bit tricky and challenging for people, and it can also feel a bit cringy, can't
Yeah.
it? Sometimes, have any kind of words of wisdom around that, like avoiding cheesiness?
Um, yes. I mean, I think the more you just speak from the heart, I think it really helps. If you try to communicate in a way that you think people are viewing you, or how you want them to see you, it can lead into cheesiness. You go to these platitudes, But I think, yes, we all want to save the world.
Mm.
Yes, we want a great society to live in. But when it really comes down to it, what we have to translate what that means for us as individuals. And for me, I think, like I talked about my business earlier, it's about the business being here for people,
Yeah.
and therefore society and the environment, and that resonates for me, and that's how I talk about it. If that sounds cheesy, that it sounds cheesy. But I guess that's me speaking from the heart.
Yeah, maybe that's not such a bad thing
Mm.
either. As long as we're genuine about it, as long as we feel confident in what we're doing and saying, that's what really matters.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good point for me to kind of, I like to kind of get into this phase of understanding kind of why and where people have come from to kind of be doing what they're doing. And
Mm.
I look back at you. I hate CVs. I wouldn't ask for a CV. But looking at kind of LinkedIn tells a lot about somebody, where they've been, and a bit of a journey. And I was looking at your profile, and I know JustOne's you've created the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Before that, you were with JLL.
Yeah.
But really interesting. I'd be really interested to know how you got to sustainability. And being this kind of expert in sustainability now, because from what I saw, starting at JLL at kind of an exec assistant,
Mhm.
working your way all the way up to kind of associate director over a decade,
Yeah.
and obviously you must have loved it there to kind of stay there that long. So what was it? Has it always been a passion for you? Like, how did you kind of get into this subject?
Yeah, I'd say it started in well, I was going to say high school, but probably even before that. Um, I I always wanted to help people at a very young age. I think it was just a part of who I was, and that's never, left me. In my high school life, it translated into the environment, and taking I'm talking like good 25 years ago now, longer than that. But basically, it was the first time environmental sciences was even introduced into high school. So I learned a lot about that. And by the time I got to university, it was the first, it was, just it was a sign really, but it was the first time my university offered a degree called Business and Society.
Mm,
And sustainability really wasn't a thing then. They weren't teaching it per
yeah.
se. So I learned about how business and society work together, and that really got me thinking about the people aspect of it, and making a people centric kind of philosophy, or philosophy over strategy. I'm going to use that word, philosophy.
Yeah. Nice.
Within businesses and organizations is really, really quite important. Um, I didn't want to lose sight of the environment, but because I felt like that is a natural offshoot to putting people first. And there's a lot of also, technical business solutions around the environment. But that's generally how I got into it. It was just a place of, I started to understand my purpose at a very young age. And
Mm.
started to apply it, I think.
Yeah. And where'd you come from as well, Dave? I think that was
Uh,
an accent, obviously.
Everybody's well, yeah. So my accent is Canadian. I was
Yeah.
actually born here in
Okay.
London. I was brought up after 1 year. We went to Canada and I was brought up there. When I was about 25, 26, came back to London, and now I'm 42. Oh, sorry, 41. Why do we always do that when our birthdays get close?
Yeah.
41, and yeah. So my accents changed quite a lot.
Jumped around. You're international. You're
I used to be
cosmopolitan.
I used to be from Toronto. Now I'm
Yeah.
from Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, very posh.
Very posh.
Pronounce my consonants now. Yeah,
Yes, I see. But when you go back to Toronto for like 6 months, you'll pronounce it the old way again.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah,
how it works, isn't it?
we
So
adapt to whom around.
I was just back, like, there's more to go on that, but I was just thinking back to what you're saying about when you got interested in it, and it wasn't called sustainability, when we were younger. And I'm 41 as well, and I got that right. I would get it wrong, but so we're similar age, similar background. We'll have kind of been at school at the same time, and we'll see from some of your music choices some similar time on the music. But yeah, the thing that for me that I found, it was at school, like there were 3 subjects that together made sustainability. So I loved learning about human geography and kind of demographics, and then I loved the physical geography, learning about glaciers and volcanoes and environmental stuff. And then the kind of sociology stuff, when you got a bit older, you could kind of start learning about that. And you're like, well, those were the 3 things, putting those kind of things together, a bit of biology kind of sprinkled on top, gets you to kind of sustainability. But it was, even when I did my degree, it wasn't probably until I did my law masters, and that the words like sustainable development came out, like just as a term, always used kind of, mainstream wise. And it's taken a long time, hasn't it, to get to here now, where people are really talking about sustainability, like, even though a lot of people are calling it ESG, rather than sustainability, but it's moving in the right direction. It's, I guess, yeah. Do you think, how do you kind of see that unfolding in the future for future generations, kids at school? So is sustainability just going to be something that's ingrained from the start, rather than something they've got to learn about at university further down the line?
I think it's both. I think kids are going to have to. There's going to be a lot more specialists in the area, so they're going to have to learn that. I mean, there's a lot of specialists around now that we really. But I think as a more general subject, yeah, it is being taught and must be taught at a younger age. And I think it's not just the environmental stuff. All those courses you just said I took as well, and I love those with a sprinkling of economics on top of that too.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And marketing and comms. But yeah, I think it's the way I see in my lifetime how it's unfolded. I mean, I was born in '79, and in the '70s, health and safety was the thing that, oh, maybe we should do that health and safety thing.
Yeah.
And then it just became the norm. Then as the '80s and '90s went, it was the environmental side of things. And it's like, okay, well, actually, we should be doing that environmental stuff. And then that has slowly become a base, a norm for many companies. And now it's starting to be about diversity and inclusion, social justice, and thinking about these regenerative model as we come out of COVID as well. I think we have to prepare ourselves for change and constant change, as I said before. And I think education, jobs, all of that will follow suit in a very different way, and we have to be open to that change.
Absolutely. And I was reading a fascinating article in the National Geographic at the weekend about environmental justice, and Biden's been talking a lot about that in the US. And I kind of thought back to, again, when I first got interested in sustainability, it was about when I was learning about the Niger Delta and how the oil companies had just raped it, basically, and just like communities destroyed with no regard for human welfare or life. And that thing just seems so wrong. How could that be possible? How could that happen? And it still happens, and people are still marginalized, and people still live under those conditions, right? So it's fine to have your lovely ESG policy and your purpose, but if you're not doing what you're meant to be doing, it's nonsensical at the same time. So we just got to call people out in a lot firmer way, I think. So
absolutely, I think justice needs to be brought in at every level for every reason, if that makes sense. So like
Mm.
talk about environmental solutions, economic solutions, social solutions. We need, I think, when we think about social justice and environmental justice in particular, we I think Black and brown people are greatly more affected, and we know this through statistics and stuff than any other group. And this came to light a lot last year with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think we see companies that are dumping hazardous waste in low economic communities where there's mostly Black and brown people. We see the effects of climate change affecting those people in hotter climates. In Africa, I was there in Tanzania and looking at, I felt like I was on the front lines of climate change.
Mm.
Are these people? That's one side of the thing, and we look at Katrina as another great example of how a
Yeah.
hurricane hits, and it was the people of color that were greater affected because they were more deeper in the valley, and the richer houses are on top. I guess what I'm getting at is that yes, we have to think about justice in that context of the negative effects, but we also have to think on the positive side. If people in Africa have been dealing with climate change for so long, yet they're rarely brought into the conversations about the solutions. Especially women in villages who are dealing with getting clean water and agriculture and whatnot.
Mm.
So I think if we bring in justice and in many ways education, jobs, collaboration, I think it will benefit us immensely, but it will also be a tipping point in a positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah. It does feel like thankfully we've got a lot of attention in the right place now as well, with whether it is the kind of diversity and inclusion agenda and everything that's related to that around equal opportunities and just fairness, as well as this driver around net zero and carbon neutrality. It's like the two big parts of the kind of jigsaw there straight away that we are really prominent on the agenda, right? And that's why I feel so encouraged by where we are at the moment. And I know a lot of this is talk at the moment. That's the other thing, like a lot of the things, we're all really busy at the moment with conversations. I know we're getting more work and everyone's doing quite well that is a professional in the sector, but it's still a mass volume of conversation now, and it's not quite action yet. So I guess there's still quite a bit of time to go on this one, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there is and there isn't, right? I mean, we have 7 to 9, maybe 10 years left to really solve some of the climate issues. And to do that, like I said before, I feel like we have the technology and the means in order to do it. It's the people side. We just need to change hearts and minds. So while I don't think we have a lot of time left, and it's up to people like us, but also businesses that have the reach, the influence, the organization, the finances, the structure in order to change. I really think business is the solution to a lot of the world's problems because of that. I mean, governments are definitely a part of the solution, but they change every 4 years. They're slow to act. And I think if businesses who have this like longevity can actually see, right, we're going to put these long-term goals in place and actually change our systems. Let's fix systems, not people. I think this is really important to meet this time frame that we have.
Yeah, which is sustainability, not green. Not that it's sustainability is the kind of business model that has to win and needs to work in this situation. Dave, I think we can talk for hours on this one, but let's jump to the kind of the fun part of the equation. So you looks like you've got you're in a nice pad. I'm obviously somewhere up near a beach, given this this desertification kind of scenario that's happened, and you've picked your 7 songs ish, 7-ish, and you've got your box set and your gadgets. So let's have a chat through those. And I think what we'll do.
Caveat with the songs though. So I at first I was like, what 7 songs do I want to take to a desert island? And it wasn't this list, but then my friend Nigel pointed out that Desert Island Discs on Radio 4 is like you pick songs that are important parts of your life.
Yeah, yeah.
and talk about them. So I've done a little bit of both.
Oh, that's perfect. That's what reading between the lines. That's basically an A student for this one.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, I just looked at what's that, the 7 songs I'd want to listen to. That's all I could listen to for the rest of my life.
oh, that would have been a very different list. I think I'm
Yeah,
very eclectic. I like, if there would have been more reggae, soca, country, classical, jazz,
yeah.
but
Eclectic. This
yeah.
is a really fun playlist. I've listened to it several times, and we debated one of the tracks between us as a pre-screen. But the first one is I didn't realize I knew the song, but when you hear it kick in at the start, is Janet Jackson, an Escapade, and that's from 1989. Would you believe, Dave, as well?
Oh Lord, yes.
So,
The intro to this song was basically Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation was the first tape I ever got. And that dates me in so many ways, but yes, it really, I was so moved by that whole tape. And the first song on that is Rhythm Nation, where she's talking about well, there's many songs in there that talk about the world and the state of the nations, and where they were then, and what a dire situation we're in. Now I'm thinking, wow, look at where we are now. But it was all, those songs were all about bringing people together, finding solutions, changing hearts and minds, and I think that set me off on a good path.
And it's a tune as well. And the next one, this is where we had the debate. It was Aaliyah. So you were looking for a certain Aaliyah song, and we couldn't find it on Spotify or Apple Music. So,
no,
so we adjusted.
The only reason I picked "Got to Give It Up" was because it's a Marvin Gaye song too, and I always love dancing to that song. But Aaliyah, wow! I mean, she was born. She and I were the same age, and she died in 2001, and it rocked me to the core. To think that someone my age, so gifted, had died, and she was so gifted, and to think she could have been an iconic person to change music, to change the R&B scene back then too. So yeah, made me very sad, but yeah.
No, I know it was a bit of a flashback for me, because I remember when I looked it up, and I remember did she die? And she died in a plane crash, didn't she, when she was like 22 years old or something crazy like that? And so we put on a different track, "Try Again," which is from the movie Romeo Must Die, because I had the flashback moment around that film and how brilliant it is. And she actually acts it. She's in that film as well, isn't she?
Yeah, she's brilliant in it. I think just anytime I hear any Aaliyah song, they're all some of them are just really wacky, and some of them are lyrical, but I love her to bits.
She's amazing, and that's an amazing movie as well. Watch it. She's beautiful as well, absolutely stunning. And then the third one, and I remember this from being kind of an early teenager, kind of in the car. It was on the radio a lot. Celine Dion, "Think Twice." A fellow Canadian has made it into the charts.
My friend Beth said I needed to get a Canadian in there, so I did.
Bryan Adams.
Yes, but oh gosh, that song. What was that song that was in the top 40?
Oh, the Robin Hood one that was from the movie Robin Hood, wasn't it?
Yeah. But no. No, so Celine Dion, I'm an unashamed fan of Celine Dion, as is my friend James, who's my close friend right now too. And I think because he loves her and I love her, we are always playing her songs now. So it's even back then, though, I guess the reason why I picked "Think Twice" by Celine Dion was because when I had come out in, gosh, how old was I? I think 19. I had just started going to gay bars and stuff like that, and there was one really cheesy one in Toronto called Queers and Tangos, and but it was really good fun, and there was a drag queen that always sang Celine Dion songs. I had met a guy in there, and we were dating for quite some time, but anytime we had broken up a few times, and every time I'd gone back to that bar with some friends, a Celine Dion like "Think Twice" would be playing, and I'd look at him across the bar and be like, "Let's get back together."
Oh, it's tragic, but it's funny at the same time.
Yeah, it's all really, that's just cheese, but yeah.
It really is. But it's a very catchy song as well. When you hear it, it's very catchy.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't beat her for that kind of song. And then the next song, I didn't know it, and I listened to it, and then I did know it. It's like a bit of a party song, a dance song. Love You Seek.
Yep.
So where does that one? Where does that come from?
So I love my house music, especially funky house, and I think this was when I first got to London, and as a 20-year-old starting to go out a lot. It was a song that I think just really moved me in many different ways. I think Amanda Wilson is just really great. But I think the song itself, which is something quite lyrical, that I remember being with my flatmate at the time, and we had come home drunk from a party, and we were listening to this song, and we didn't know that we had it on repeat, and we danced like we were dancing in the flat for hours and hours, and it was such a great memory. But I just remember that song just being such a happy moment in my life, and reminded me of like when I first was really, really enjoying London.
Where did you like to go to? Which clubs were your favorite, kind of house music wise, when you were going out?
Do you know what? I went to quite a number of gay ones, being the young person I was, and really enjoying it. Like
Fire and places like that.
Yeah, I went to Fire. I went to gosh, Fire, gee.
I used to live in Putney. Ended up there a couple of times actually. That interesting nights out, shall we say?
Let's say that I think those days are now, but I wasn't one of those guys crawling out of there on a Monday morning being like, oh, yeah. It was a little bit more subdued than that. But yeah, no, it was a good time to be alive, especially in London, and enjoying all the dance scenes. Yeah.
The best place I've ever been to for house music and the whole ambience of it. There's Ibiza, but Miami, you can't beat Miami. Go to when they have the Winter Music Conference in kind of March, springtime. It's just the place to go.
But Ibiza, yes, absolutely.
Ibiza.
I mean, dancing outside in the sunshine and fresh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
A lot of fun. And then a bit of a switch here in terms of tempo and age. So At Last by Etta James, which is a beautiful song. I'm
in love with 50s and 60s music generally, and the jazz and the soul. Etta James, Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald. I'm just, my heart every time I hear one of those songs. And I think At Last is just one of those songs that every time I hear it comes at just the right moments, or at a moment where I just need it. And it's a beautiful song that just soothes and makes you realize how much I love life.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song. Yeah.
It's a stunning record, and it's one that sounds even better on vinyl if you've got time to prepare it, put it out there, and turn it up, and nothing else, no other noise. Absolutely. And then this again, another. See, this is, I love how eclectic this is. Switching back up to 2012 with the Scissor Sisters. Let's Have a Kiki, so a bit dancey again.
Well, this is probably my favorite out of all of them.
Wow.
So my good friends here in the UK, these are people, my friends Trevor and James, I've known them for coming up on 18 years now. We met in Canada on their gap year, and when I moved here, they introduced me to all their friends, and we are such great friends. We do something called Fake Christmas the first weekend of every December. We get together and we have Christmas Day together as friends.
Nice.
And now they have kids, some of them, and it's just a beautiful thing. The song, I actually don't know how it actually came about, but it's become our theme song. And probably another drunken night, but we started doing the dance from Let's Have a Kiki. If you watch the video, you will absolutely love it. But yeah, we learned all the moves, locked the door tight. It was great. We still do it to today, every Fake Christmas. So there you go.
Excellent. I don't know the dance moves, I'll be honest, but I don't think you want to see that. We dancing either. So.
We danced at Beth's wedding, and we all just got up and started doing it, and all the other guests were like, "Oh, how do they know this move?" And we're all just like, we're down.
What, this whole dance, this whole thing? Brilliant.
No, I love those ones. They're good.
This is a good one as well. I didn't know the band, but I knew the song. Never Seen the Rain. The Kids Are Coming. Tones and I. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite a recent one, like last year or a couple of years ago. So
Yeah. So I was going through quite a lot of change. I just left JLL. I started JustOne, and to be honest, it was a lot of change to go through. I was going through some tough times myself personally, and I heard this song. And if you listen to this song, it is the most saddest song and the most happiest song at the same time. It changes, and it's about, you know, not leading this kind of mediocre life and taking a chance and doing something new, but you, in doing so, you have to be prepared to fail, and that's, you know, kind of seeing the rain, and if you're prepared and you're okay with failure, you will come out of it. And I listen to that song still, you know, it's only a year a bit later, but it really reminds me why I started JustOne. And yeah, just being afraid to fail is no longer. I'm not afraid.
no, I think I don't know about how you were when I set up my first company. I was quite young. I think that was advantageous. So I was naive. So it was only ever going to be successful in my head, which gave me the confidence to do it with nothing, right? But I didn't have anything. I didn't have a I didn't have my wife. I didn't have my kids. So it was pretty low risk, really, when you look at it. But then you start to, things don't go right. Things do go up and down. Things, there's good times, there's bad times, and it's that what if you are I think meant to be an entrepreneur or build a business. It's about just embracing that uncertainty more than anything, and and knowing from the start this is not going to be plain sailing. It's like one in a billion a Mark Zuckerberg. It's like just not going to happen that way. But that should motivate you as well, because if you are, if you do have an idea for a business and want to try it, there's nothing more satisfying or rewarding than getting your first customer, getting your first brilliant review, getting them to book more work with you, whatever it might be. There's so many incredible feelings on there from doing it yourself.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I absolutely agree with all that. And I guess the first part of that, the meaning of that song is I didn't want to live a life of mediocrity, and, you know, just going from home to work, you know, and I wanted to create impact. I wanted to do something I loved with purpose. And I wanted that. I started to think about what's my legacy here in life, you know. And that song really, it helped.
Yeah. It does. It's those little things that you hear, isn't it? Like especially at that time, and you find that all these things happen at once, don't they? Like the toughest times I had for my business was, it was even a few years ago, and my dad died at the time, and there was just so many issues, and it all happens at once. But you've just got to get yourself through it, right? And then this is where music and songs come in, and that are just ingrained on you. And not many people who knows Tones and I, but
I didn't really before that song too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's why I kind of put it on the list too. I hope more people listen to it.
It's great. And then just because you're such a nice guy, we've already had 7, but because this is an eternal kind of classic. All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
I bloody love Christmas. I love Christmas so much, and that song always gets me going. It's the first song I put on Christmas time, get the tree up. It always reminds me, you know, the fake Christmas crowd I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
You know, we love that song, so it reminds me. It's nothing but happiness for me.
Yeah,
so I love Christmas.
Are you a subscriber to Love Actually every Christmas as well, watching that movie?
So not every year, but I watched it religiously from when it came out almost every year, even more frequently than Christmas, because I was in Toronto, and I'd be like, I'm going to London. One day I'll go and I'll live there. And I'm looking at all these people's lives. I'm like, I'm going to have that life, and I'm going to walk down the South Bank. And so I listened to it quite a lot. Yeah. I watched it a lot. Yeah.
It's okay. Like I prefer like the Four Weddings and a Funeral kind of movie of that genre, but then I just think, like, why hasn't there been more like that in that vein of Love Actually? Because it is like one of our most famous export kind of styles of films as Brits, and people love it, absolutely love it. Yeah, there's a real lack of films like that.
They should do a remake with all new really big actors. Though I know a lot of people that really hate Love Actually too. So,
but do they really hate it though? That's the thing. I'm not sure. Oh, they definitely do. Yeah, it's genuine. It's genuine hate, not.
Yeah.
Oh, I should probably just not like this one because that kind of hate.
I know.
Anyway, I think look. Mariah definitely makes it on for everybody's benefit on Desertification Island. And that was #1 for the first time, wasn't it, last year? That song?
Shockingly.
Which is crazy because we all know it. So and then the last couple of bits. So we got the other thing you can take is a gadget in a box set. So first of all, what's your gadget that you take with you?
My gadget is well, I was also thinking a little bit practically here on a desert island. Electronics, and actually I would love to be if I got to a desert island, get rid of all my electronics. Frankly, I would love that. But so I chose my Bodum press, but it's a travel mug. I should have brought it here. But you can make it's a coffee press in the mug, you press it down and then you can take it and drink it.
Nice.
I absolutely love my coffee to bits, so I don't think I could ever live without it.
Excellent. Yeah, that's practical, and I'm sure lots of people would like to borrow that off you on the desert island. Just need to make sure we have lots of coffee growing on this island. And then I love this dust one, and which is I think a connoisseur's choice. I hope of Star Trek Voyager. So you could have chose any Star Treks, but you chose Voyager and Janeway. Why did you go for that?
It was a hard decision.
Yeah,
because I'm a big Trekkie, Trekker, whatever the PC term is now.
Trekkie.
But I think just Star Trek generally, people, yes, I'm a geek and I love my sci-fi and comics and stuff, X-Men and whatnot. But I think Star Trek just gives me this hope of humanity. It's a time where humans have given up material wealth as a thing that they're trying to do to make their lives better. It's about the betterment of oneself and the betterment of humanity generally. And then of course through collaboration and meeting other alien worlds, the whole idea of the Federation is just really appeals to me, and why I think Deep Space Nine is my favorite series. But I picked Voyager because it will remind me of that, how to still keep to my human values, my personal values when they're in the middle of the Delta Quadrant, where there are no humans and they're trying to make their way back home, yet they stick to their principles, their guns, their purpose.
Absolutely, that's absolutely because I was going to go with that. That was my interpretation of it as well. It's like setting up your business. It's complete unknowns. They're miles from home. They've got no prospects of getting back or going back kind of in their heads either. But they've adapted it with such professionalism to kind of push on and push through and stick to the guns. Now, have you seen any of the new season of Star Trek on Netflix?
I love Discovery. Absolutely. I love it. I think particularly not just because the first season was a little shaky, but the rest of it, I really like it because they have thought about a diverse cast in all different ways. They of course they need it was way past the time to have a black captain, but when you look at the rest of the cast, I mean, you have Tilly, who is I forget. Apparently she's on the autism spectrum. And I love that you have a character that is a part cyborg. You have all different races there, and their main characters. I just think it's just the most brilliant thinking of how to put diversity first, to show we're so far advanced as humans in this series, but we embrace people for who they are, we celebrate who they are, and we encourage them to be that way, and look how it actually tangibly helps us find solutions. I love that.
But I absolutely agree with that. I think it's brilliant, and it's been properly modernized as well, its thinking and way forward. But it does have that throwback to Voyager in that they're in the last season, they're never going to get home. They've gone into the future by 1,000 years or whatever it is, something crazy. But they've said, no, we're still going to be, it's our purpose, this is what we're here to do, let's get on with it.
No, it resonates well with me.
So I love being another Star Trek geek.
Hey, we have lots to talk about then.
Yeah. Oh, well, look, I think actually on that note, it's so perfect that I think that's probably a good time to call it. But it's been an absolute delight and pleasure to talk to you today and hear about, you know, where you've come from, your life, your songs that inspire you, and just, you know, all the best for JustOne moving forward. I think it's been a huge success, and just put that purpose and passion into it, and you can't go far wrong. So.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to working with you at Rio, and so a lot more as well. And I guess this, whoever sees this too, just use this as a point to shout out to collaboration. You know, of course, we want companies to help put sustainability strategies and all that stuff, but you know, other sustainability professionals that are out there, let's find ways to work together. I think we of all people need to collaborate over compete, and let's just get in touch. Let's figure out ways to do it. Let's you know, find these solutions and actually save the world. Let's do it.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Okay.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.